Hey guys, Fox here, and today we're going to be talking about the UFL's new headquarters located in Arlington, Texas. Now, this is something that just came out yesterday on the 29th of January, and this is a pretty big deal when it comes to the UFL and more importantly, its staying power as a league. So, without further ado, let's get right on into this with the press release or the official article that the UFL posted. Now, I'll have a link in the description if you want to check out the whole article. We're only going to be looking at really like a couple key points from it. So, this is the title. UFL announces Arlington, Texas to become football operations headquarters. Again, this came out yesterday, January 29th. Now, two of the more main points of the initial part of the article is the fact that during this whole ceremony that was at the league's new offices near the ballpark circle in Arlington, or at the ballpark circle, they had the mayor of Arlington, Jim Ross, show up, as well as the UFL co-owner, Danny Garcia, president and CEO, Russ Brandon, and executive vice president of football operations, Daryl Johnston. So, mainly the big three when it comes to the UFL and the people that kind of like run and all that. Now, the HQ itself is going to have 5 centralized facilities: the actual office, the main HQ building, Choctaw Stadium, and then 3 additional practice locations in the area. The offices at the UFL HQ will house the UFL team offices, training rooms, and content studio, with the Choctaw Stadium being the performance center. Now, in terms of these specific things, this is the only other part of the article we're going to talk about. The UFL HQ will feature offices at the HQ. These will be the year-round football operations and all that. They'll have over 110,000 square feet at the circle to be able to do stuff. Conference rooms, meeting spaces, training rooms, a bunch of stuff like that. The UFL Performance Center is going to be, centralized headquarters for health and performance. A bunch of stuff with that. Physical therapy, strength conditioning, a lot of stuff like that, Normal performance center stuff. Then weight rooms. You know what weight rooms are. UFL Content Studio. This is going to be where will be a focal point to capture and create dynamic behind-the-scenes content with players and coaches. Especially because last year, we've talked about it before, the social media numbers the UFL had were insanely good, especially compared to the 2023 XFL and the 2 years of the USFL. So, being able to add with a true content studio at an HQ is definitely going to make that potentially be even better than it already was. We saw when Alex Magoo re-signed, some of those posts hit numbers that were even higher than like AJ McCarron's, release, which is insane. So this is a big plus. And then the warehouse at HQ, storage, shipping, logistics center for the league and all 8 teams, inventory supply to league and team equipment managers, all that kind of stuff. Simple but effective things overall. Now, what does this actually mean? Because look, this is something that a lot of people say isn't a huge deal, and some say is a really big deal. Now, the first thing I notice, and I know some people are going to be, a little hateful about it, is that there's no Rock. I think that's a huge plus. I've said it many times, especially back with the 2023 XFL. The biggest downside of the 2023 XFL was just how in-your-face Dwayne was about, being an owner of the league. A lot of the brand deals, a lot of the things he was doing, it kind of took away from the football and the players. And so far at the UFL, dating back to when the merger happened, aside from the initial him showing up and doing the announcements, he really hasn't had much to do with the league, which I think is a good thing. I've talked about it before. Danny and Moose are the main 2 people in this. Yes, Russ Brandon as well, but the main 2 are Danny and Moose. They're the ones that seem to care a bit more than really anyone else about this league and about the success of the players and all that. So seeing them both and Brandon there wasn't a shock that they're the ones that showed up to this event. I think that's a good thing, right? Talk about having the face of your league, right? I mean, I remember heading into 2023, the USFL, I kept hammering down that, hey, Moose is going to get the head job. He's a good face for the league, and then it happened. I said I also slammed my hand down that having Rock be your focal point of the league was a bad idea, and wouldn't you guess it, the UFL hasn't done that. These are smart decisions. Keep the people that truly care about the players and the teams as the main focal point in terms of being the face of your league. So that's a huge plus. Number 2 is the fact that they actually got this building. Before this, they were pretty much just really in Choctaw Stadium. That was pretty much everything they did. This is an actual HQ, an official building, which is a huge deal in terms of long-term sustainability and the idea that this is going to be a long-term thing. You do not just go out and get a building like this to be here for, 4 months and the season ends and you say, okay, we're done doing spring football. This is something that showcases that the league is planning to stick around for a while. Again, we've talked about it before. A lot of these things that they're doing are long-term decisions. Announcing that, international hub that they're going to do, or not hub, but skill showcase that they're going to do, and I believe it was Switzerland. That's going to be in like this off season. Then you had other announcements, partnerships extending to 2026, announcing your intent to expand in 2026 and 2027. A lot of these things are being based in years ahead. That was the big thing about the USFL and XFL that we didn't see. It was a lot of we're just kind of running on the fly, right? Is the USFL going to go to another stadium during the offseason? Is the XFL going to actually put teams in their home markets? It was a lot of ifs, whereas the UFL has kind of taken away a lot of those ifs and saying, hey, we are doing this, it's just we don't know exactly what we're doing. Though there is one downside to this. Granted, this really doesn't have a lot to do with it, but still does. This continues the idea that these teams are going to be based in Arlington for a few more years. One of the biggest issues the UFL and overall spring football in the ultramodern era has had is that these teams are not fully located in their home markets. The 2023 USFL is the only ultramodern spring league that was purely based in more than one market. Birmingham, Michigan, and Memphis were based in their home markets. That means they lived there, they practiced there, and played there. Now, the 2024 UFL and 23 XFL all played in their home markets, but they weren't actually based there. And that is a huge issue, especially in attendance, because it's a lot harder to get behind a team that really isn't fully in your city. And that's why it's one big issue, right? If you were in Birmingham, if you were in Memphis, you would see these players in the city during the week. You would be able to go to practice. You can't do that anywhere but Arlington. So it is definitely something that does suck to see. And yes, it is a financial savings. You don't have to do as much traveling. You can have everybody go together. The team flights being weird like that. I understand that, but it still is an issue that I think a lot of people do have. And this is the one downside, is that this HQ makes it sound like this is trying to keep it like this for a while longer. Who knows for sure if that's the case, but that's the one downside I would say to this. But aside from that, I think it's all really good. Again, even though it's a downside purely in the connecting to the fans aspect, not in a league sustainability thing. Because if you're doing this, you're making it to where if you do decide to expand and keep every team still based in Arlington, it's not that big a deal because you have an HQ, a big stadium, and then 3 other stadiums or fields that all work together to house all these players. So that's the one benefit to it, is that if you do expand, and when you expand you decide to keep everybody in Arlington, it's not like you're adding to a small area. You're expanding the area ahead of time, whereas if this was the USFL or the XFL, I would imagine they wouldn't do this HQ until they absolutely needed to. Whereas now they're preemptively doing it ahead of 2026, which is when they will really need it. Now, the content studio, like I said, I think is a good thing. You did really well on social media last year. Of all your benefits, that was the biggest one. Your social media numbers were just, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I have a video on that. They were insane compared to the USFL and XFL. So adding into that strength is a good thing. You want to improve your strengths as much as you can. So that's a good thing. Then, like I said, overall, this is just a great thing in terms of the league staying. Having a legit HQ building has a lot of, good eye appeal to it, good PR, a lot of good things about that. Instead of just being, in Choctaw Stadium, you have your actual building. Really good thing. But that'll do it. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this whole situation, them getting the new HQ, if you guys really like it, if you're, you don't think it's that big a deal. What are your thoughts on it overall? As always, guys, thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. We are getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, or less than 30 when we're doing giveaway. Just a quick heads up for that giveaway. It's probably going to be through a community post that's going to stay up for like a week. And just because it's like a nightmare to do things through YouTube, I do suggest you have either Instagram or Twitter. I could care less which one. Those are the 2 social medias I'm on. And contacting people through YouTube is like a nightmare, so you have to have one of those platforms to contact me if you end up winning the giveaway. So, just an FYI for that. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, think about becoming a community member for 99 cents a month. You get an exclusive video every month to members, as well as community posts and other stuff that's exclusive like team emojis. And as always, guys, have a great night.